Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. Trump is wrong about Canada. There, I said it. Bring on your comments. I have a Substack over at peggyhall.substack.com, and I just wrote a lengthy article which describes my objection to his comments about wanting to take Canada by force. I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. First, let me share with you this very brief clip that I found on Twitter. And I'm not sure if this is accurate or not. I also saw that there is a tweet from Joe Rogan, but I couldn't find it on his Twitter page. Basically, he says, I say we let Mexico in as well. Now, I don't know if he's joking. I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan. I know some of you are. But let's take a look here, shall we, at this brief exchange with Trump. Here we've got, this was a live press conference in Palm Beach, Florida. And here is a question from the reporter saying, you want to take Panama and Greenland by force. Now, is that alarming to anyone? And then he says, do you want to take Canada by force? And here's Trump's response.
Military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line.
Excuse me? An artificially drawn line? You mean a sovereign border that you're supposed to be protecting?
And you take a look at what that looks like. And it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there.
All right, I don't know why the United States is protecting Canada in any case, but let me share with you my comments, and I want to hear your comments as well. So Trump is wrong about Canada. There, I said it. Plenty of people are applauding Trump's return to the White House, and plenty of people are leery about the man who ushered in Operation Warp Speed and didn't end up draining the swamp after all. Now, don't get me wrong. I would much rather have Trump as president than cackling Kamala. Trump is entertaining, to say the least, and brash and boastful, kind of at the most. Anyone who has read his books, as I have, know exactly and understand exactly who this man is and what he claims his principles and values are. Now, I'll be ecstatic if Trump clears the air, literally, and cleans the water. I know that is a local issue, but I really want him to close the border, not open it up with Canada. So heck, if Trump gets the ball rolling on banning those blinding headlights, that's a video for another day, and bringing back the Thomas Edison incandescent light bulbs, I'm all in favor of that. I will be standing and applauding and cheering and giving this man a standing ovation as well. But there is one issue that is non-negotiable for me, and that it's also non-negotiable for those who understand the threat of globalism. That's what we've been fighting for these last many decades. And this is the loose talk of Trump talking about bringing Canada in as the 51st state. Now, this tweet that I saw says, many people, this is from Trump, and this was today, many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Trudeau knew this and resigned. Okay, I've done videos on Trudeau before. I will replay my video about the Prime Sinister. I predicted that he would be taken off the stage because he was a puppet serving the bad guys as well. If Canada merged with the US, Trump says, there would be no tariffs, taxes would go way down, and they would be totally secure from the threat of Russian and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them. Together, what a great nation it would be. I'm the only one that this alarms? Okay, first of all, this is never going to happen, certainly not in the way that Trump wants it. And how does Trump want it? Well, he wants to take Canada by economic force. He wants to get rid of the artificially drawn line. What in the actual heck? You mean sovereign borders, sovereign states? Now, just because Trump has an idea doesn't mean that it's a good one. Even Trump supporters should be critically thinking about what Trump does and says and wants to do. Forget the critical thinking, just think, stop and think about this. So friends, when does bigger government ever mean better. If having Canada as part of the United States is such a great idea, why not just add in Mexico, as Joe Rogan says? I know, cue all the controlled opposition comments here, and I have my suspicions about Rogan as well and his agenda. Why not add in Australia and Mexico and New Zealand? Heck, I thought that imperialism and colonialism, the time when countries were taking over other countries, I thought that was out of style these days. Apparently, Trump wants to bring it back in style. I had no idea that people could be so easily duped into wanting another Operation Warp Speed, this time warp speed into globalism. This is exactly what we've been fighting, the New World Disorder, as I call it. Now, you may think that this sounds harsh, but in my opinion, the non-spinning world, in the non-spinning world, why should US absorb Canada anyway? The cultures are not the same. Canada is a socialist state. The citizens have allegiance to the Queen, the King. Canada is a part of the United Kingdom, a monarchy. Now, getting back to the problem that bigger government is not better and never has been, when has a larger political entity ever made sense? You want the federal government telling you what to do? Well, apparently they did over the last several years. Now, this does not make sense to me. Don't you remember the Soviet Union? How the Soviet Union failed? So to refresh your knowledge, first there was Vladimir Lenin, who violently took power in Russia just over 100 years ago in 1923. He was followed by Joseph Stalin. Yes, that Stalin, whose lasting legacy was genocide on a massive scale, accomplished in part by starving the very populace that he forced to come under his control as a part of the Soviet Union. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is going to starve out the Canadians. I'm talking, well, stick with me, because the Soviet Union failed because bigger government is not better. Absorbing other countries doesn't work, whether it's by force, whether it's inviting them in, or economic pressure. Now, Stalin takes his place in history as one of the most murderous dictators of all time, neck and neck with China's Mao. Stalin's claim to fame was taking by force these sovereign states, such as Canada. Millions of people perished because of what Stalin did. Not only did his henchmen murder innocent people, he forced their resettlement, including deportation and forced labor. Stalin's crowning glory may well be the mass starvation of 15 million people due to the absolute intentional destruction of massive agricultural areas. Now, this famine was in 1932 to 1933 called the Holodomor. I don't know the correct pronunciation. This was with Ukraine and Uzbekistan particularly targeted. Were you ever taught about this when you were in school? I certainly wasn't. It's worth researching if this is news to you. The very quick summary is this. Under Stalin's grand plan of absorbing other countries and taking possession of these sovereign nations by force, everything became centralized. That means instead of the local farmers farming in ways that made sense in their own region, everything was dictated by the collective. Yes, I am simplifying this summary, but basically the centralized Soviet government was in charge of everything. And the farmers had to get permission to farm. They had to get the seeds from the centralized Soviet government. And the government did not give the seeds to the farmers, so they could not farm. Again, this is a very simplified summary, but the basic gist is the larger centralized government does not work. So not only did these farmers and their families and entire regions starve, but then the government, the Soviet Union, actually blamed the farmers for the poor crop yield after they withheld the seeds. Talk about gaslighting. So it was the fault of the centralized government. So larger governments with more territories are not more productive, nor are they more prosperous. Come on, Trump. It's the exact opposite. But don't listen to me. Look at history. The Soviet Union eventually collapsed under its own weight of inefficiency and economic stagnation. Put very simply, socialism and communism do not work. That's why the Soviet Union collapsed, and Russia and China as well. These countries are not only allowing privatization of many industries, they are promoting it and encouraging it. Come on, Trump. Your loose talk about Canada becoming a part of the United States has concerned many of us, and we are wondering if you are a wolf in sheep's clothing, selected to come onto the world stage to usher in the New World Disorder at warp speed and have your supporters standing around applauding it. I, for one, am not in favor. I can barely get along with my own HOA association and my neighbors. How in the non-spinning world am I supposed to get along with the Canadians, as pleasant as they may be? I thought you, Trump, were in favor of closing the border, not leaving the gates wide open. All right, friends, that's my take. Let me know what you think. I always love reading your comments. I especially read them within the first 24 hours. Then I'm on to the next video. Speaking of the next video, tomorrow I am going to be talking about this aerial assault going on in my current state of Florida, especially in South Florida. And I also am, I share with you in that video a wonderful gift that came to me by way of some healthy Americans in Hawaii. This honey, and it's very important that the honey bees are healthy. And of course, the bees, insects, bugs, birds, mammals, humans, trees are all under assault from this spraying. But I wanted to let you know this is Kiave honey. And let me this is not a sponsored video. They're just lovely, healthy Americans. And I wanted to share with you the website here. It's called goodjobbees.com. You can purchase organic raw honey. And I wanted to share a beautiful card that they sent to me. It says, with aloha and joy, dear Peggy, we appreciate all that you do to get the truth out there. May the Lord give you the strength to continue. We hope you enjoy the honey. We think our bees make some of the best. Mahalo, which is thank you, and Merry Christmas, David and Carol. We have a small honey company here in Hawaii and wanted to send you some for Christmas. We need to keep the air clean. We need to keep the bees thriving. They are a very important part of our agricultural system, our entire life web, I would say. So stay tuned for that video tomorrow. I'm going to share with you some pictures of the aerial assault. I'll be covering this over the next couple of days. Email me your photos of what's going on in the skies in your area over at support@thehealthyamerican.org. And I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming broadcast. I'm here every day at 4 p.m. Pacific. For heaven's sakes, please resubscribe, share, like, comment. That helps me out with the algorithm so my message can get out to more people that need to hear it. See you soon, everybody.